Hey, what's up, Stratego brothers? This is OuweSok with another video showing a setup that I've been using recently for the last 10-12 games, featuring a general and first line. If you've been watching my videos, you know that I'm a pretty aggressive player, so this is a very aggressive setup that I have grown to like. Of course, general and first line is not a very original idea. If we have a look at, for example, a setup by Vincent de Boer, featuring the first line general, as well as a setup used by Tim Slagboom in a game versus a strong Greek player. He uses a first line general, and these setups are quite different if you compare them. But the thing they have in common is that both the generals have a backup of a kernel and a spy close by. The spy is obvious, of course, and the kernel is there to in case some piece from your opponent escapes the general and runs into your position, so you can give it with your kernel a royal welcome. So these are two examples of very strong players using also a setup with a general and first line. And the idea of the general and first line is, of course, to catch a major or kernel in the very early game before your opponent is able to find out that there's a general very close by, and before he's able to dig escape routes for his big pieces. And there's basically three ways in which you can get a material advantage. The first is that your opponent is unsuspecting that there's a general here, and he just runs into it with his major or kernel, thinking that it is a weaker piece. This happened to me already once, when my opponent had his marshal here, came in with his major, my general had moved already, and he crashed his major into my general, and I had also directly a 2 square rule in my advantage, so that was a free major for me. I didn't publish this game because I made a very stupid misclick later that cost me the game. So the surprise value of the general is something that you can get an advantage of. And another way to catch material is by the double attack. So this is a known lieutenant, and I've surrounded it with my captain and my general, and there comes the major, and it's mine, and yeah, no marshal there, so that's a material advantage right there and then. This is another example of a game in which I surrounded a lieutenant. There's actually a kernel behind there, but he just runs away. He doesn't want to attack my my captain with his kernel here, and so my captain ends up ravaging his entire left wing. After which I make a really stupid move to crash my general into his marshal. But okay, that's I had really big advantage, and if I hadn't been so stupid to crash into his marshal, I would have won this game easily. I still won it, but giving away my general here was not really necessary. The third way to gain a piece is by finding a piece in front of you, a big piece like a major or a kernel. This, for example, is a major, and the rest here were quite weak pieces, so I don't expect here to be a marshal. So he couldn't escape with his major. I ran in, and I was quite surprised that he even had his general over there, but otherwise I can just run in and see if I can capture this major. This is another game in which I found a kernel here. This was a captain. The kernel came from here, so it was a captain protected by a kernel and an unknown piece. So when he moves in his kernel, I could actually have use this 2 square rule and go to the left, and with the idea to move in here. It was a little risky because the captain protected by a colonel and an unknown piece could easily have been a marshal. So I choose to come in over here and pick up a free captain. So that's the idea of the setup. Be aggressive, surprise your opponent, use the 2 square rule to capture a major or colonel that cannot escape, or with a double attack try and capture a colonel or major. Of course, this is a risky setup. I mean, you can run into a piece that is protected by, for example, a colonel and marshal, and yeah, okay, then you will probably write up a loss. But in general, you will find the people have the marshal somewhere in the center, and if they have it on one of the wings, then you still have 50% chance it's the other wing. So it happens, but not too much, and I think I've lost my general straight up to marshal only once, because it was double protected. A captain was double protected by colonel and marshal. It happens, and you have to take these kind of losses because it's part of your strategy that sometimes can fail or blow up in your face. Also, when you face somebody that is playing an early marshal, or an early general, then what is the best way to counter this? I think if you have found a general very early in the game, the best you can do is be aggressive with your colonels. So attack with colonels through here and through here, and especially if you find a major or maybe even a captain, just go at it, and if it gets recaptured with a marshal, then you have lost the colonel, but you know his marshal, you know his general, and that should be plenty of compensation. So if I would feature somebody, play against somebody with a first row general, I would try and be aggressive with my colonels, find where his marshal is, and go from there. So if we look at the rest of my setup, there's a bunch of scouts in here. So as you have seen, that I usually use my captain to go up here, go with my sergeant attacking here, and the scouts come out, giving me also a way to retreat. No marshal is going to follow my general into here when I retreat, because this could be the spy, my spy could be here, so it gives me an escape route, a fake escape route because my spy is over here, but it gives me an escape route for my general in case I cannot escape with the 2 square rule. So that's the general idea. Attack with my sergeant over here, follow up with captain, and if I find a colonel or major, then go at it with my general. What I've seen with low gold players, that they often like to come in through the middle with their marshal and guess where your spy is, and then start jamming the other way at all the moved pieces. So if my general is here and they think that my spy is here, then this strategy will work against them. Also, you see that I have no real, my majors are a bit hidden to counter the strategy that would be like being aggressive with your colonels and grab majors, hoping to find my marshal. So my majors are a bit hidden. When you want to use this setup, I would not use this setup playing against a bronze or silver player. You will find too many lollowers, and you don't want to crash your general into a first row marshal. That would be a really bad start of the game. So I would start using this setup if you're playing gold players. And if you're playing a gold player that is actually higher rated than you, and you more or less expect to lose, because maybe the rating difference is like 100 points or something, then aggressive setup could be in your advantage, because maybe you can catch him unaware, get some material advantage in the beginning to hope and offset his better skills and get a result from the game. So start playing this setup, playing against gold players, and yeah, get familiar with it. And so whenever you play somebody who knows how you play, then you should be aware that a general in the first line is something that you can do. Maybe you just use a traditional setup, maybe you have another type of setup, but I think anytime if you want to develop yourself as a stratego player, you should be able to play many types of setups. And this is an aggressive one, and yeah, I would suggest you, under the right circumstances, playing against a gold player, try it out and see if you can surprise your opponent and get a good result. So I think that's it about this setup. I hope you like it. Feel free to comment in the forums or in the video, and see you in the forums of Stratego.